Research log Galactic date 47392.6. Researcher Kaxon P-889. Institution Galactic Research Institute, Xenobiology Division. Subject classification error report Sol 3 Earth species. Oh, by the great cosmic calculator. I cannot believe what I am seeing. This has to be the biggest classification error in the history of the Galactic Research Institute, and naturally, it landed on my desk. Just my luck. I should have taken that cushy job studying space moss on Proxima b, but knew I had to be ambitious. Let me compose myself and record this properly. My name is Kaxon P-889, Senior Researcher at the Galactic Research Institute's Xenobiology Division, and I have just discovered something that will either make my career or get me laughed out of the scientific community. It started as a routine data verification check. You know, the kind of mind-numbing work they give to researchers who dare to question the Institute's coffee substitute policy. I was cross-referencing lifespan data from various Class C civilizations when I noticed something peculiar about the humans of Sol 3, or Earth, as they insist on calling it. According to our initial classification, humans were listed as a short-lived species with an average lifespan of 7 to 10 solar cycles. This made perfect sense given their fragile organic composition and their baffling tendency to jump out of perfectly good flying vehicles for fun. But then I found their actual medical records. These humans, these absolutely ridiculous humans, they live for 80 to 90 solar cycles. At first I thought it was a translation error. Maybe their numerical system was based on counting their toes or something equally primitive. But no, I checked it 17 times. They actually live that long. I immediately called in my colleague, research assistant Bloopity Bleep. Yes, that is actually his name. His parents were going through an experimental phase. He took one look at the data and spat out his 7th morning stimulant all over my favorite tentacle warming sleeve. This cannot be right, Kaxon, he gurgled, his sensory appendages wobbling in disbelief. A species that deliberately ingests capsaicin for pleasure cannot possibly live longer than a Zentarian dust mite. But the evidence was undeniable. Not only do humans regularly survive for nearly a century, but they do so while constantly engaging in activities that should, by all reasonable scientific standards, terminate their existence. They ride metal containers powered by controlled explosions. They willingly expose themselves to dangerous solar radiation for aesthetic purposes. They even have recreational activities called extreme sports. I immediately filed an emergency report to the Institute's High Council. Their response was swift and predictable. Researcher Kaxon P-889. Have you been consuming unauthorized substances again? No, I have not. That incident with the fermented Jupiter algae was one time, and it was at the Institute's holiday party. But now I sit here, surrounded by data pads showing irrefutable evidence that will shake the foundations of our understanding of resilient species. The humans are not just surviving, they are thriving. They live through conditions that would make a Plutonian rock-eater cry for its mother. I have officially requested permission to conduct a full-scale investigation into this phenomenon. The High Council has granted approval, though I noticed they also scheduled me for a psychological evaluation next week. They clearly think I have lost my mind, but I will prove them wrong. Tomorrow I begin assembling my research team. We need experts in human biology, sociology, and whatever science explains their obsession with something called cat videos. This investigation will be the most important work of my career. End log entry. Entry. P.S. Note to self-request new tentacle warming sleeve from supply department. Bloopity still has not learned to swallow his stimulant properly. Research log Galactic date 47392.7. Researcher Kaxon P-889. Subject team assembly and initial Earth observations. Finally, after 3 days of interviews that felt longer than a Martian sandstorm, I have assembled what might be the most peculiar research team in the Institute's history. Let me introduce them, for the record. Dr. Squishable Tentaculon, our biology expert, who refuses to believe anything can live past 20 cycles without photosynthesis. She keeps trying to prove humans must have hidden chloroplasts. Professor Zip Zap, our technology specialist who short circuits whenever he gets excited. He has already blown up 2 datapads just reading about human lifespans. Behavioral analyst Fluffy McSparkles, no, that is not a joke. She legally changed her name after becoming obsessed with human pet naming conventions. She at least understands Earth cultures better than most. And finally, junior researcher Bob. Just Bob. He insisted we call him that after learning humans use simple names. He used to be Zen anthropologist Zizigzays III. Our first team meeting was absolute chaos. Dr. Tentaculon tried to convince everyone that humans must be lying about their age. They probably count their orbits around their sun wrong, she insisted, waving her appendages frantically. Maybe they meant dog years. This prompted a 2-hour discussion about what dog years even means. Why do humans have different years for different species? Professor Zip Zip got so worked up trying to explain it that he accidentally electrocuted Bob's coffee cup. Following first contact protocols has been interesting. The standard greeting of extending all sensory appendages while singing the Galactic anthem backwards clearly would not work with humans. They do not have sensory appendages, and our singing might rupture their primitive audio processing organs. We decided to observe them remotely first. Our orbital station picked up something called television signals, which led to even more confusion. According to these broadcasts, humans have something called birthdays every single year. They actually celebrate getting older. Professor Zip Zap nearly blew a fuse when he learned about retirement parties. You mean to tell me, he crackled, sparks flying from his communication nodes, that they work for 60 or 70 cycles and then just stop, and other humans celebrate this? Fluffy McSparkles spent 3 days analyzing human social media while trying to resist the urge to like every cat picture she saw. Her preliminary report was equally baffling. They have different age classifications that make no sense. They call their young tiny tots terrible twos, teenagers, and something called millennials. But here is the really weird part: they cannot agree on when someone becomes old. Our first direct observation of Earth revealed even more puzzling behaviors. Humans of various ages were engaging in activities that seemed to completely ignore their temporal limitations. We watched elderly humans, some nearly 80 cycles old, doing something called yoga, while younger ones were sitting completely still staring at small glowing rectangles. Bob, in his infinite wisdom, decided to create a human age classification chart. 0 to 2 cycles, loud tiny humans. 3 to 12 cycles, slightly larger loud humans. 13 to 19 cycles, angry confused humans. 20 to 29 cycles, pretend adult humans. 30 to 59 cycles, tired adult humans. 60 cycles, humans who have run out of cares to give. The High Council was not amused when we submitted this as an official document. Perhaps the most shocking discovery came when we learned about human regeneration capabilities. They can heal broken bones, regrow skin, replace entire organs, and they act like this is completely normal. Dr. Tentaculon fainted when she learned about their liver regeneration abilities. Tomorrow we begin our more detailed analysis of human aging patterns. Professor Zip Zap has been equipped with extra surge protectors, and we have hidden all the cat pictures from Fluffy McSparkles. Bob is still Bob. End log entry. P.S. Note to self-investigate why humans keep saying life begins at 40. What were they doing for the first 39 cycles? And why does no one talk about life beginning at 41? Research log Galactic, date 47,392.9. Researcher Kaxon P-889. Subject field research, direct human observation. After extensive preparation and several rounds of vaccination against Earth pathogens who knew humans carried so many microscopic companions, our team has begun direct field research. The High Council finally approved our disguises, though I must question the effectiveness of wearing what humans call business suits and pretending to be insurance salespeople. Apparently, humans will tell insurance agents everything about their lives while simultaneously trying to avoid them. Our first interview was with a human female named Grace Thompson, age 92 Earth cycles. Dr. Tentaculon nearly had a nervous breakdown when she heard the number. The woman offered us something called cookies while telling us about her grandchildren. We had to stop Fluffy McSparkles from asking if she could be adopted as one of these grandchildren. "Oh, you youngsters want to know about aging," Grace laughed, serving us more cookies. Well, the secret is to never act your age. Professor Zip Zap short-circuited right there in her living room. His system could not compute the paradox of not acting one's chronological age. Bob had to drag him outside while making excuses about poor cell phone reception. We visited something called a playground next, observing humans in their early growth stages. The noise level was astronomical. Small humans were climbing, jumping, running, and screaming with absolutely no regard for gravitational safety. Their adult supervisors just sat nearby, staring at their mobile devices and occasionally shouting, "Do not eat that." Our most perplexing discovery came when we visited a retirement community. The concept itself sent our research team into a philosophical crisis. Humans create special living spaces for their elderly? Not to contain them, but to give them activities and social interactions? The retirement home director, Samuel Martinez, gave us a tour. "Here is our gym where we offer senior yoga, water aerobics, and strength training," he explained proudly. "You mean to tell me," Dr. Tentaculon sputtered, all 7 of her eyes bulging, "that you encourage your elderly to continue physical activity at their age?" "Of course," Samuel replied. "Studies show it keeps them healthy and active longer." Fluffy McSparkles was frantically taking notes while trying not to cry at the sight of elderly humans playing with visiting therapy dogs. Bob just kept muttering, "This explains nothing," under his breath. The medical facilities we observed defied all logical explanation. Humans have developed the ability to replace entire joints in their bodies with artificial ones, and then they get up and walk around a few days later. They can repair visual organs with lasers, replace failing organs with donated ones, and even restart hearts that have stopped beating. We witnessed something called physical therapy, where humans deliberately exercise injured body parts to make them work better. The patience of these medical professionals is astounding. We watched one therapist spend an hour encouraging an elderly human to walk a short distance, celebrating each step like they had just discovered faster than light travel. The human approach to medicine continues to baffle us. They have developed incredible treatments and technologies, yet they still cannot agree on the best way to organize their healthcare systems. Some humans avoid medical treatment because of something called insurance deductibles, a concept so complex that even Professor Zip Zap, after 3 days of analysis, declared it beyond the comprehension of our advanced AI systems. We also observed a birthday celebration for a human who had reached 100 Earth cycles. The local news was there to document this achievement, which seems to happen with surprising frequency. The centenarian, when asked about her secret to longevity, said wine, chocolate, and not listening to anyone who tells me I am too old for something. Dr. Tentaculon has submitted a formal request to study human wine and chocolate for possible immortality-granting properties. Our team also discovered something called anti-aging products. Humans spend vast resources on creams, serums, and treatments designed to make them appear younger, while simultaneously celebrating the wisdom that comes with age. When we tried to explain this contradiction to the High Council, they accused us of making things up. Professor Zip Zap became particularly fascinated with human hair color changes. "They go gray naturally," he reported, "but then they use chemicals to change it back. But some young humans deliberately color their hair gray. Make it make sense." The human obsession with measuring and marking the passage of time continues to perplex us. They celebrate birthdays annually, but some birthdays are considered more significant than others. Apparently, turning 16, 21, 30, 40, 50, and so on are extra special, though no one can give us a satisfactory explanation as to why. Fluffy McSparkles has developed a particular interest in human traditions surrounding age-related celebrations. She keeps requesting budget approval to study something called over-the-hill parties. Her latest report simply states they mock the aging process while simultaneously celebrating it. These humans are brilliant. Tomorrow we will visit something called a high school reunion, where humans gather to compare their aging processes with their peer group. Bob has already requested hazard pay for this assignment. End log entry. P.S. Note to self-investigate why humans keep saying you are only as old as you feel. Our medical scanners clearly show their exact age, so why do their feelings matter? And why do some humans feel 25 when they are clearly 60? Is this a mass delusion or an undiscovered temporal manipulation ability? Research log Galactic date 47393.2. Researcher Kaxon P-889. Subject: comparative analysis of human longevity. The data analysis phase of our research has produced results that are simultaneously fascinating and deeply disturbing. Our team has spent the last 3 days in the lab, comparing human lifespans to every known sentient species in the galaxy. Professor Zip Zap has blown up 17 computers in frustration. Let me present our findings, though I doubt anyone will believe them. The average Zentarian lives for 15 solar cycles, spending most of that time philosophizing about the meaning of existence. Humans live 6 times longer than that, and most of them do not even begin questioning their existence until something called a midlife crisis. The mighty Krav warriors of Nexus 7, with their reinforced exoskeletons and regenerative plasma cores, typically survive for 40 cycles before their bodies give out. Meanwhile, we found a human grandmother who ziplines through rainforests as a hobby. She is 82. Dr. Tentaculon has been particularly obsessed with human regenerative capabilities. Her latest report reads more like a horror story than a scientific document. These beings can break a bone, and it will heal. They can lose up to 75% of their liver, and it grows back. They replace their entire outer layer of skin every few weeks. What manner of self-repairing monstrosity are we dealing with here? The regeneration statistics are indeed remarkable. Humans regularly heal from broken bones in mere weeks, recover from major surgical procedures, survive massive blood loss through something called donation and transfusion, or regrow damaged muscle tissue, continue functioning with only one of their paired organs. Fluffy McSparkles pointed out that humans even have medical procedures they undergo while conscious. They remain awake while someone works on their teeth, she reported, her fur standing on end. They just sit there, in a chair, voluntarily. Our analysis of human adaptability has revealed even more surprising data. These beings can survive in temperatures ranging from -50 to 50 degrees Celsius with minimal protection. Adjust to high altitudes by producing more blood cells, build muscle mass through deliberate tissue damage, function on varying sleep schedules, digest an impossibly wide range of organic matter. Speaking of digestion, Bob spent an entire day analyzing human dietary habits. His conclusion: they eat things that are technically poison for fun. He provided evidence of humans deliberately consuming capsaicin spicy food, caffeine, fermented beverages, aged dairy products, something called gas station sushi. Professor Zip Zap attempted to create a mathematical model of human resilience. After his 6th attempt exploded in a shower of sparks, he submitted this official statement: their durability cannot be quantified through any known mathematical framework. They simply refuse to function according to logical parameters. The most baffling discovery came when analyzing human recovery patterns. Not only do they heal from injuries, but they often become stronger afterward. They have a saying: what does not kill them makes them stronger. This is not a metaphor. They literally get more resilient through survived adversity. Our team observed humans engaging in voluntary strength training, deliberately damaging their muscle tissue to make it rebuild stronger. Dr. Tentaculon had to lie down with a cold compress when she realized they do this for recreation. We also discovered that humans continue learning and adapting throughout their entire lifespan. Most species reach peak cognitive function at maturity, but humans keep developing new neural pathways well into their later cycles. We found an 85-year-old human learning something called breakdancing. When asked why, she said, "Why not?" Fluffy McSparkles has developed a theory that humans have evolved beyond normal biological constraints through sheer stubbornness. Her evidence includes humans running marathons despite having no natural predators to flee from, elderly humans learning new technologies just to share pictures of their grandchildren, something called extreme ironing, which we are still trying to understand, competitive eating contests that defy all digestive logic, ultra-endurance events that last for multiple days, The High Council has requested we stop sending them examples of human recreational activities, as they are causing mass anxiety among the review board. End log entry. P.S. Note to self-investigate why humans deliberately expose themselves to high-stress situations for entertainment. Is their concept of fun somehow connected to their longevity? Also, why do they keep making jokes about their ages? Our analysis shows that humor about temporal progression appears to increase proportionally with the number of cycles lived. Research log Galactic date 47,393.5. Researcher Kaxon P-889. Subject Galactic Council presentation and proceedings. Today marked the most chaotic session in the Galactic Council's 10,000 cycle history. Our research team presented our findings on human longevity, and the resulting debate nearly caused an interstellar incident. Several council members are still in shock, and one may have accidentally evolved into a higher form of consciousness out of sheer frustration. The day began poorly when council member Zedzap, no relation to Professor Zipzap, demanded we prove humans were not secretly immortal shapeshifters. No species can live that long without some kind of trickery. He insisted, pounding all four appendages on his desk. Our presentation started with Dr. Tentaculon's comparative analysis. The moment she showed the lifespan statistics, Grand Minister Blorp accused us of making up numbers. Next, you will tell us they survive being frozen and thawed. He scoffed. When we showed him evidence of human cryotherapy spaz, he had to be revived with smelling salts. Fluffy McSparkles nearly caused a diplomatic crisis during her section on human aging customs. She got so excited talking about retirement communities that she accidentally activated the emergency evacuation protocol by wagging her tail too close to the control panel. The entire council had to float back into the chamber while maintenance drones reset the gravity generators. The real chaos began when Professor Zipzap presented his findings on human medical practices. They replace their joints with metal ones and keep walking, he announced, sparking so intensely that he shorted out the main presentation screen. They transplant organs between bodies. They restart hearts that have stopped beating. They are practically immortal. Preposterous, shouted council member Squish. No species can be that resilient. Oh really? Bob stepped forward, surprisingly passionate for someone who had spent most of the research period saying this explains nothing. He activated a hologram showing humans of various ages engaged in different activities. Look at this human. She is 95 cycles old and still teaches dance classes. Here is another one, 88 cycles old, who just learned to pilot aircraft. This one celebrated his 100th birthday by skydiving. Skydiving. They do not just survive, they thrive. The council chamber erupted into chaos. The Zentarian delegation began a philosophical debate about the nature of time itself. The Krav warriors demanded to know if humans had secretly developed immortality serums. 3 different species simultaneously filed formal protests claiming humans must be breaking some fundamental law of nature. Grand Minister Blorp called for order by releasing his species' traditional calming pheromones, forgetting that they cause violent sneezing in half the council races. The resulting sneeze wave knocked over 2 ceremonial statues and 1 junior diplomat. We must reclassify them, Professor Zip Zap declared, electricity crackling around him dramatically. Humans cannot remain categorized as a short-lived species when they outlive most of our long-lived ones. But where do we put them? Demanded council member Zap. We cannot classify them as naturally long-lived because they achieve this through pure stubbornness. They survive things that should kill them because they simply refuse to die. Dr. Tentaculon floated forward, all 7 eyes gleaming with scientific fervor. Perhaps we need a new classification entirely. I propose we categorize humans as biological paradox type 1 species that survives through sheer determination and spite. The council debated this for 6 hours. 17 new classification systems were proposed. 2 council members resigned in protest. 1 declared humans must be a collective hallucination and tried to prove we were all living in a simulation. The breaking point came when Fluffy McSparkles showed her research on human preventive medicine. They deliberately expose themselves to weakened diseases to build immunity, she announced. They exercise until it hurts to become stronger. They break and rebuild their bodies as a hobby. Grand Minister Blorp fainted. When he came to, he simply muttered, "The humans are too powerful. We must make them our allies before they realize it." The council finally agreed to create a new classification. Anomalously persistent beings. Humans are now officially recognized as a species that defies conventional biological limitations through a combination of adaptability, regeneration, and what Dr. Tentaculon calls aggressive optimism. As we left the council chamber, I overheard two junior diplomats discussing the implications of our findings. "If they live this long with their current medical technology," one whispered, "imagine what will happen when they advance further." The other diplomat shuddered. "Maybe we should start being nicer to them." End log entry. P.S. Note to self: the Council has approved an expanded research budget to study human longevity further, though they insist we stop sending them examples of extreme sports. Apparently, the video of elderly humans bungee jumping caused several council members to develop anxiety disorders. Also, someone needs to explain to Dr. Tentaculon that she cannot adopt a human grandmother, no matter how good their cookies are. Research log Galactic date 47,393.8. Researcher Kaxon P-889. Subject: final report on human longevity study. As I prepare to submit our final report on human longevity, I find myself questioning everything I thought I knew about biological limitations. Our research team has spent countless hours analyzing the data, and we have come to some startling conclusions that will forever change how the galaxy views humanity. Dr. Tentaculon has finally stopped trying to prove humans are secretly plant-based life forms, though she still mutters about chloroplasts in her sleep. Her final analysis states humans do not just age, they age backwards. They spend their later cycles doing things their younger selves would never dare attempt. It is as if they become more adventurous as they get older, which defies every known law of species preservation. Professor Zip Zap, after burning through 57 surge protectors, submitted his conclusion: their potential appears to be limitless, just when you think you understand their capabilities. They surprise you. They are currently working on extending their lifespans even further through something called genetic engineering. May the cosmic forces help us all if they succeed. Fluffy McSparkles has become so enamored with human resilience that she has requested permanent assignment to Earth. Her report simply reads: they get knocked down, but they get up again. You are never going to keep them down. When we pointed out she was quoting human song lyrics, she just smiled and said, "Exactly." Even Bob, our resident skeptic, has changed his tune. His final observation: everything about humans explains everything about humans. Their longevity is not a biological trait, it is a decision. They simply decided mortality was more of a suggestion than a rule. Our unexpected findings include: 1. Humans become more determined as they age. While most species slow down and become more cautious, humans often become more adventurous and willing to try new things. We found an 85-year-old human taking coding classes because she wanted to make her own video game. 2. Their adaptability appears to have no limits. Whenever they encounter a problem, they do not just solve it, they turn it into an opportunity. When told they were too old for something, they created entire leagues and competitions specifically for their age groups. 3. Their regenerative abilities continue to baffle our scientists. A human can lose significant portions of their liver, and it grows back. They can donate blood regularly without harm. They can even train their brains to create new neural pathways well into their later cycles. It is as if their bodies never received the memo about planned obsolescence. The most amusing observation came from our study of human entertainment. They create fictional stories about immortal beings, completely unaware that the rest of the galaxy sees them as practically immortal already. They write tales about gaining supernatural powers, while casually healing from injuries that would be fatal to most species. Perhaps the most significant revelation is that humans do not just survive, they constantly strive to improve. They set new records in physical achievements well past their supposed prime. They learn new skills when most species would be settling into retirement. They refuse to accept limitations, whether imposed by biology or society. As Professor Zip Zap noted in his final report before short-circuiting one last time, humans do not age like other species. They accumulate experiences, skills, and stories. They do not just count their cycles, they make their cycles count. Dr. Tentaculon's parting observation was particularly insightful. Every other species we have studied tries to extend their life by avoiding risks. Humans extend their lives by taking risks, pushing boundaries, and refusing to accept that they are too old for anything. The Galactic Research Institute has officially classified humans as an evolutionary anomaly, noting that they are the only known species that actively works to extend not just their lifespan, but their health span. They do not just want to live longer, they want to live better. End log entry. P.S. Note to self: the High Council has approved funding for a new research project on human resilience, though they specifically requested we stop sending them videos of elderly humans doing parkour. Also, Fluffy McSparkles needs to be reminded that she cannot retire to a human senior living community, no matter how good their social activities program is. Research log Galactic date 47,394.0. Researcher Kaxon P-889. Subject: final personal observations. Well, this is my last entry regarding the human longevity study. The Galactic Council has processed our findings, humanity has been reclassified, and my research team is slowly recovering from their various stress-induced conditions. Dr. Tentaculon has started a garden, claiming she needs to better understand the power of organic growth. Professor Zip Zap is taking meditation classes to control his surge issues, though he still shorts out whenever someone mentions human exercise routines. Fluffy McSparkles has wallpapered her office with pictures of human grandparents skydiving. And Bob has started doing something called yoga. As for me, I have gained a new perspective on life, the universe, and everything. The implications of our discoveries are far-reaching. The Galactic Council is already discussing reforms to our species classification system. After all, how can we categorize other species by lifespan when humans have shown us that longevity is not just about the number of cycles, but what you do with them? Several alien civilizations have requested human guidance on life extension techniques. Though I should note, the first human response of just keep moving and do not take life too seriously was not particularly well received by the Zentarian High Command. But perhaps the most surprising development came this morning. While reviewing some final data, I made an unexpected discovery about my own species. It turns out we have been calculating our own lifespans wrong for the past 10,000 cycles. We do not actually die of old age at 40 cycles as previously thought. We just got really good at napping and everyone assumed we were dead. I brought this to the attention of our planetary elders, who checked their calculations and realized they had been using the wrong mathematical base this entire time. Apparently, we have all been retiring to our hibernation pods several decades too early. The news has caused quite a stir back home. Several of my relatives have emerged from their retirement pods, demanding to know why no one bothered to check if they were actually dead. The Galactic Insurance Association is in chaos. I suppose humans have taught us one final lesson: never assume you know everything about anything, especially when it comes to defying biological limitations. End log entry. P.S. Note to self: must remember to send a thank you note to that 92-year-old human grandmother. Her cookie recipe alone has revolutionized our understanding of chemical energy conversion. Though I should warn her that when Dr. Tentaculon attempted to bake them, she created a small quantum singularity. The taste was apparently worth it.